What up, everybody? What up, what up, what up? Yes, welcome to All Things Fantasy Grounds Talk Show. Hey, before we get started, let me just mention the disclaimer that we like to do. Make sure our voices are working. Yeah, they are. The All Things Fantasy Grounds Talk Show is meant to teach and help, but the opinions stated by those of us on the show are not that of Smiteworks USA LLC or Fantasy Grounds or DM's Guild. So keep that in mind. Before we get to our special guest, let me say hello to my co-host, single co-host, I guess at this point.
Cheerbits in the
Cheerbits,
stream. Thanks
Mosk and
for the
Foss, thank you.
cheerbits.
Mr. Drake, how are you?
Good. How you doing, Rob? What's up, everybody?
What's up? Glad you're here. Drake almost didn't make it, and Fury for some reason isn't here. She has not communicated that she wouldn't be here, so maybe she'll pop in, but as of now, she's not here. So we're gonna say hi to Mr. Jim Socks. He is the creator of the Story Templates Pro, which is started out as an extension, but is now part of Fantasy Grounds. So if you load Fantasy Grounds,
Cheerbits in the stream.
it's
Thanks for the
already in there.
cheerbits.
McClancy, Cheerbits, thank you, sir. Bit boss. So Jim Socks, welcome. How are you, sir?
Good. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here. So I'll let you just kind of take away with what you want to let people know. We've got your desktop up on the screen here so people can see what you're doing in your copy of Fantasy Grounds. And you can kind of just let people know what Story Templates Pro is, what it's for, how you use it, and basically everything you'd like to let everybody know. And I'll just let you run hog wild.
All right, great. Sounds good. So first of all,
I
the
love
new
you,
functionality that they
man.
went ahead and threw into the base game for us, it doesn't touch the old functionality. So first and foremost, if anyone doesn't feel like using all this stuff, they don't have to. The original functionality is still the exact same, and nothing is messed with in that regard. So it's really only for people who want to kind of dig in and become power users of story templates, or for those that are going to benefit from the things that the power users want to make. So to start off, I am going to bring up a quick PowerPoint slide real quick, just to talk about callouts and references, because I'm going to talk about them a lot. Whereas a callout is going to be when you're calling something from a table. It's the first time you've brought it into existence. You've rolled on the table and you're getting that. And a reference is going to be any time that you're just going back to that old data and pulling it again. So I just wanted to make that clear before we jumped into the Fantasy Grounds portion of it. So I've got like an example story template here that we'll kind of run through top to bottom, and kind of you can ask questions along the way about how these are useful or how they work. And I can run them and give examples and things as we go. And then we can get into more practical applications, and I can showcase some of the stuff I'm working on for another module that I'm doing. Sound good?
Yeah, before you start,
Yeah.
some people might be confused, and I'm confused as to what and how you got those red boxes in there.
Yeah. So Unity, Fantasy Grounds Classic also has some unique characters in it, and Unity is so as I went to UI scale 130, it kind of added an extra box there. But ASCII characters, some of them can be usable. So what I did was I went into the character map, and I went through the entire character map, looking at like every strange symbol and bringing it in and pasting it into Fantasy Grounds to see what would stick. And as it turns out, there's some very, very weird characters that Fantasy Grounds will let you use, and this giant red block is one of them.
Wow.
So yeah, so
That's really cool.
it makes a really good kind of separator. And as in let's see here, tables. If I go to separator, you can see what I've done real quick. Oh shoot, what's happened here? Is it not separator? Should be. There, let me do that. Divider. Okay, let me do divider. So you can see I've made a bunch of tables that are for dividers, city travel descriptions, and then I can just link to this in my story templates, and it will put nice looking dividers when I generate my story. And if I ever want to change these, I only have to change this one table and not go through all of my story
God,
templates.
this is wait till you see everybody. This is the least of it. I just was freaking out because I didn't know you could do that in Fantasy Grounds, so that's a nice new thing we just learned.
Yeah. There's and if you see, I've got tons of different dividers here. Now, some of these are kind of the same crazy characters. So let's take a look at divider crazy characters. So these are all characters that actually will display and work. That so there you see there's like, let me just bring them into here real quick, and
Wow.
I'll make them a header. So you can see that there are TP ones and weird ones, and if you put these next to each other in unique ways, they can make really cool kind of dividers. There's even arrows. So there's a lot of weird
Yeah,
ones.
I was never aware in 5 years or almost 6 years that I've been using Fantasy Grounds that you could even put ASCII characters in. I mean, I never tried it, but no one's ever brought that up. That's really
A
cool.
lot of them don't work. I mean, a shitload of them don't work. But the ones that do are really helpful, and I've been able to make some cool dividers with them. And Fantasy Grounds Classic can do this too, but it's different characters. It doesn't play well. So something that you've made with these dividers in Fantasy Ground Classic, you bring them over to Unity. They may not work. They might just give you question marks.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So be careful, everybody.
Yeah. But you can see I have a lot of these dividers, but it's really helpful because I'll have like several different story templates that use the same divider. Like travel descriptions, city travel descriptions. I'll have 13 different story templates that use this divider. And if I ever don't like how it looks, I just change this small table, and then that does it across all of the
Right.
story templates. So
Nice. Thought I caught the
So-
whores in there. I was very excited.
yeah, yeah, you probably did. When you're generating brothels, you have to have whores.
Right. That's
Table
kind of a
level,
requirement.
apparently.
I mean, that seems to be the main
Table.
ingredient.
Right. Okay, so let's dive right in. So like I said, previous functionality still there. You can call out a table with the square brackets, or you can reference it with what I call the alligator brackets, or the greater than, less than, these guys here. And then this one is kind of this call out custom naming, right? This is so that you can call anything that you normally would, or with any of these other kind of powers that are now in Fantasy Grounds, and you can call it whatever you like. You can make up any name you like, and then you can reference it with that custom name that you create, right? And this is necessary, and you'll see why, for some of the other call outs that we have. You have to custom name them, and I'll explain that later why. But it's also super awesome because you can now just have one table, and you can use it over and over and over and over again for different NPCs or different things. And as long as you custom name it something different, it's not going to spit out the same result every time. And so let's go ahead and generate this. So you see here I've got Tavern name test, right? This is going to give us a tavern name. These ones are going to be custom named. I'm using the same exact table, Tavern name test. But here I'm giving this one a name of main tavern, and I'm giving the one below a name of rival tavern. And down here you see when I reference them, I just use the custom names I gave them. I want the main tavern's name, and then I want the rival tavern's name. So let's generate that and see what we get. All right, so we got on this regular table callout, Ye Old Temptress and Desire Saloon. On the custom named ones, we got the Terrible Dump and the Testy and Anger Saloon, right? Now, how this would have worked under vanilla story template is if I would have come down here and just referenced tavern name test, what it would have spit out would have been 3 tavern names, all Siamese twinned, glued together. It would have said Ye Old Temptress and Desire Saloon, the Terrible Dump, the Testy and Anger Saloon, if I would have just referenced tavern name test. But since we were able to custom name these, we can use the one table. We don't have to create 2 different tables, one for a main tavern and one for a rival. We just use the same table. So that's going to cut down on a lot of table clutter. When I made my original content generator, I mean, a couple thousand tables. And it was because if I was making a story that had 2 different tavern names in it, let's say, well, I had to have 2 separate tables so that I could reference them separately in the story. And now I don't have to do that. I can have one table and reference it. So let's call out custom name. You can see here the syntax. It's within your square brackets. You've got, when you enter it, you surround your table name with colons. So you enter it with a colon, and then after your table name, a colon. And after that second colon comes your custom name. So here we've got our table, tavern name test, colon, and then whatever custom name we would like. And so that's how that works. And it's kind of the bedrock of a lot of these things, because with some of these other powers we're going to dig into, you have to have a custom name because you literally don't know what table it's going to roll on. And you'll see why in a little bit. Do you guys have any questions about custom naming?
I don't think so. Not me.
Okay,
I'm
cool.
one of these guys that kind of doesn't get it at all until you get all the way through it, and then it all snaps together for me. But I mean, I
Okay.
understand what's happening so far. It's really weird
Yeah.
that Fantasy Grounds knows to. I mean, I guess that's the whole point, is that it knows to just use the one table. So
Yeah.
so in each story template, you you have to you have to set it up this way. So it's a requirement that you do this, or this is stuff. So in other words, I'm asking, is this stuff you can do or stuff you need to do?
This is stuff you can do. If
Okay.
you don't want to use any of these things, you don't have to. The original functionality of story templates is intact. If all you want to do is use callouts like this, just with square brackets, and references just with the alligator brackets, like if all you wanted to do was what happened there? Jesus.
I don't know what happened.
That was supposed to copy tavern name test and throw it into there. There we go. So if you just wanted to use these two functionalities right here, callouts in the vanilla format and references in the vanilla format, that's all you have to do. You don't need to custom name them if you don't want to. This is all additive.
Okay.
So here, let me show you real quick how it would have worked under vanilla. Let's use a few of these callouts. Let's call out tavern name test 4 times. And then we're going to reference it just above this little custom named below thing. And watch what happens when we reference it under vanilla. Here's what happened. We got our 4 tavern names. The Ye Olde Deep Gnome and Wasp Barrel, the Ye Olde Knife and Child, the Purgatory and Deep Gnome, the Ye Olde Goblin Bar. And when we referenced it just this one time, it grabbed every time that we had rolled that table before and spit it out in a giant vomit.
Yeah.
All together. And that's how the original story templates, this is how it functioned. You couldn't do this. What you would have to do is if you had 4 tables, and you wanted to reference them separately, well, you needed to have actual 4 different tables for this.
Right.
And then you could reference them separately. And you don't need to have all these tables now if you need to reference them several times. Where this comes in super handy is, say, for tables for an NPC. I can just have one table for NPC, and I can roll it all through my story, just that one table, and I can name it for whoever it needs to be. And then when I reference, it also makes it way easier on me, the writer, because I'm referencing the king or the jester. I'm not saying NPC 4, NPC 5, NPC 6.
Got it. That's really cool.
So that makes it, yeah. So that's custom naming in a nutshell. And you'll see I use it a lot. I'm going to go ahead real quick because my Bluetooth earpiece is telling me that it's dying.
Oh
and
no!
Then I won't be
Panic situation.
I won't be able to hear you. So I'm going to throw on some headphones
Okay. No
to
problem.
kind of get ahead of that.
If there weren't some form of at least minor technical difficulty, it wouldn't be the show. What we do.
All right, here we go. I'm going to go into this and change my voice and video and change over to that.
Can you hear us now?
And I
Okay.
should be able to hear you.
Yep, we're still here.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, let me turn that up a little more. Okay, all right, let's get back into it. Okay, so next, column referencing. I use this extensively. I use column referencing so much now. And I think that people who are power users of this will find that this is incredibly, incredibly useful. So let's kill these. All right, so column referencing. You can see here the syntax for a column reference is using these hashtags or pound symbols or waffle, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to call it hashtag. So it uses those, it comes in and you put your table name or whatever you have rolled before. Remember, a reference, you're just calling something you've already rolled. So you've already rolled on a table, so you put your table name there. Just like in standard vanilla column referencing, you use the pipe symbol and then whatever column from whatever table you want to use. So under vanilla here, if I was rolling on Tavern name test above, but I only wanted to roll on the third column, I would do that. And it would roll on the third column of Tavern name test. And then if we referenced it later, we would only get the third column. And the reason why that's not the greatest is because you can't. So when you roll on a table, it's like, let's say you roll number 5, the 5th row on a table, and it's got all these different columns. Well, if you just roll on column 3, you can't ever get whatever was in column 2 on the 5th row. So column 3 is going to be in a vacuum. It doesn't really relate to anything else in the table. And that's problematic in a lot of ways. And so column referencing, we use these hashtags to say what column we want. Now how this works is we'll roll on a table. Here you see I've got NPC, any race, any gender, right? So let's take a look at that table.
Good Lord.
Here is my end now. Now the UI scale is 130 right now. Normally this table just fits on my monitor, but now it's a little bit wide. So what you can see here is this is a huge table. Now, normally I would not make a table like this under the vanilla version of story templates. But with what we have now, this kind of table is becoming more the norm for me because now I can use all of these columns. By the way, with the new code, the column limit has been increased to 30. It used to be 20. And the reason I increased it to 30 was because of column referencing. So as you see here, we've got NPC, any race, any gender. I've got all the different races. I've got male and female of each one. First name, last name, nickname, he, she, his, her, him, her, his, hers, trait, attitude, hair, eyes, voice, tattoo, clothes, background, weapons, wants, fears, color 1, color 2, minute details, a symbol, a pet, a religion, any, a good one, a bad one, and I left a couple blank columns over here. So I've got this giant table, right? So let's kill this table and take a look. That's what I'm going to call, right? Now, if I do that under vanilla, it's going to vomit out everything in the column that it rolls. So let's take a look at that. Oh, what did it give me? I don't know why I did that. Did I mess up something? Hold on. What has occurred?
Oh, it's
You got a bad argument.
It's going through every.
Hold on. Let's kill. Did I freeze or something? What happened?
I think you can close that now and you'll be all
There
right.
you go.
Okay. All right. That was weird. All right.
It bogged down on the spit. It's like it choked on it.
Right. And now resizing a window doesn't want to let me do that. That's fun. Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
What doesn't it like? All right. I don't know what's happening there. Bad argument number 1. Oh, I have a problem in a table that I'm trying to show.
You're calling a table that doesn't exist. You might have spelled it wrong or something.
Yeah. Oh, I know why. It's because I messed around and put this stuff up here.
Type 3 in there.
Yep. Oh,
and it's still what it's doing is it's going through the whole table.
There we go. Okay. Let's go up to here and get rid of that. Yeah, that's what happened. Okay. All right, so we got NPC, any race, any gender. Here we generated a half-orc female, and that's her name. And this is all the crap. Yeah.
She, her is very clean and well kept cold.
Right. So we don't want that, right? And I'll show you with the hidden feature how we get rid of that. Where did I put hidden feature? Did I put that at the very bottom? No, we'll just talk about it here. Okay, so we don't want this vomitorium of everything we rolled. No. And that's where the hidden feature comes in. So if I throw a question mark in there, and we roll on that, you notice now it's not there. It's still rolled on the table, but it hid the results. And so the cool part about that is that you can roll on something huge like this and then column reference it to get to cherry pick just what you want. So we've rolled on it. We got half orc female. That's stored. Fantasy Grounds has stored that information. Well, when we rolled here, we got somebody different. It stored that, but it just didn't show it to us. Okay. So let's start using some of this with the comp. Man, it's tough to grab these tables sometimes. There we go. Okay.
Stupid tables.
So I'm going to custom name it real quick. I'm going to throw a colon there. I'm going to throw a colon after the table name, and we're going to name it Hero. Actually, I have something here that I think I have a copy paste that I can grab stuff from.
And so you're doing that. I get it now. You're doing that so that you don't have to then type NPC, any race, any. You just all over and over. You just type hero.
Yes, that's really
much easier. I gotcha.
Yeah, it's super handy. So over here, we're gonna roll it. We're gonna call it hero, right? This would be the regular reference where it would say everything, but instead we're gonna use a column reference. We're gonna use #hero, the first column. So I guess I'll put that under column reference. So I'll do that. And we'll do a regular reference just to show of hero. Oops, don't make it capitalized if it's not capitalized when you custom name it. Cap sensitive. Okay, so and it was. I did do that. There we go. Okay, so here's what's going to happen. We're going to roll on NPC, any race, any gender. We're going to hide it. We won't see it here. But I'm going to reference it here just to show that we actually did roll on everything. This will vomit out everything. And under the column reference of column 1, we should only get the race because that's what's in column 1 of that table. So let's generate. So here, as you can see above regular reference here, this is where we rolled and hid it. And then here we referenced it just with a normal alligator reference, but we used our custom name. And you can see that Fantasy Grounds, even though it didn't show anything up here, it did store everything because this is a reference of everything. And we rolled a tiefling. So here's where we use our column reference is just below. Column reference here. A column reference just the first column, and it gives us tiefling from this roll. So let's do a quick example. I'll grab this and I'll bring it over. So example of usage, we'll throw it there. Referenced example. And we'll grab a usage example, and I'll walk through these real quick. Okay. So let's get rid of some extraneous spaces just because I'm anal like that. All right.
Me too.
I'm okay, so all right, here we go. All right, so here we go. Once again, we hid this. We didn't want to see it, but we referenced it here just for our viewers. Half orc. We rolled a half orc male. Here it is, column referenced, half orc of that first one. And here's an example of usage. So what I'll do is I will type. This is how I do all of my story templates. I type what I want it to say first. I just vomit that out. I write a story. I type a story. Then I come back in and I find the things that my table can add libs out. Well, Rob, I can ad lib that name. I know I have his. I know I have a weapon in that table. I know I have a color in there. His, Call to the Heavens, my name is Rob. There it is again. I am the orc, so I can take a race. And so what I do is I come in here, and if you look over here on the left, reference example. Hero, column 3, reached for hero, column 7, and I could actually get rid of sword, too.
Make it a random weapon.
Let's do that real quick. Let's take a look. And you notice on my columns, I put numbers on them because it makes it very easy for me to reference. I can see here that weapon is 18. So that makes it very simple for me to say, instead of sword, let's go ahead and control copy that. Let's get rid of sword. And what number was it again? 18?
18.
18. Okay, so we'll do that.
Now, just let me interrupt you here, Jim, for 1 second. Just so I understand, hero column 18 is itself referencing another table called weapon. So you could instead just put the weapon there as well, and it would do the same thing, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I just wanted to understand that.
Yeah. I just like to I overly table everything.
Yeah. Keep it all together so that it's all the same mental space. Yeah, I get it totally.
Yeah, and if we were to take a look at weapon real quick, weapon, we've got a 31 column or 31 item table of like every different type of weapon.
Right.
So that these NPCs can be varied. So, all right, so we went ahead and swapped out sword, and you can see all I've done is I've taken and I've called out, I've ad-libsed my original story, and here was what we got. We got Thrighi, the orc name, reached for his sword, because he's a male, held it high. He wiped the orange powder from his face, and these are all things that came from what we rolled up here. The color here would have been orange if I looked through here. There it is there, orange. And I am the half-orc who will spell your doom. If we rolled on this again, let's see what weapon we get on our guy, whoever we roll. So this time we rolled a gnome, and his great axe. So you can see we referenced column 18. It rolled on the table weapon for me because that's what's in column 18, and we got a great axe. The cool thing here is, let's say I make an NPC in the beginning of my story, and he wears orange clothing and he carries a great axe. Well, later, if I want to drop hints of who they see somewhere in a dark alley, they can see someone, facing away from them sporting a great axe and an orange, tunic or something. And it can tie together that way, and it's so easy for me to do. Well, that's our hero, and his weapon is a great axe, and it will always remember that. So that's column referencing. It makes what you roll when you column reference, it makes things make sense. Because if I jump over here, let me jump to here real quick, and I'll grab, let's see, column referencing. Yeah. Okay.
By the way, everybody, this video that he has done with the PowerPoint is available on YouTube, and you can go watch the whole thing.
Yes. So I will not belabor this.
Yeah, and it goes into depth. I mean, as you can see, but it really explains it well, even if you don't know. Because when I watched it, I had no idea. I mean, I knew what story templates were, but I didn't know about that you could reference tables different ways and stuff. So it's really it's not that complicated. And if you watch the video and watch the show, I mean, you'll eventually get it.
Right. Yeah, and I don't want to go too deep into this, but if you did this the standard way, you wouldn't get things that make sense. You would get an elf that had him as a pronoun and the name of Frank for a human, and none of that is good. So this way, you can make it all make sense and correlate to one another. Now, down here, you see I've got another usage example. NPC, any race, any gender. I've named this one Advisor. I named the next one Jester. I named the next one Wizard, and the next one Ambassador. Now, I've rolled on all of these, and I've hid them. I've hid them with the question mark. So you can see here, none of them popped up, right? But I have another template, which is right column referencing example. So if you look down here, I've got, so this first one is kind of giving another example of what we've already shown. I'm rolling on the same table, and I've called it cook. And here I've got a whole paragraph ad-libsing out, just like we did before. And then down here, I've got any race NPC. I got advisor. I'm hiding that. It's going to roll on the giant table again. And we get a description of the king's advisor. So let's generate and just see what we come up with. Here's a big paragraph with the bartender talking about someone in the bar. She motions you over. You see a tattoo of an eagle on her. All these things came from the table, as you can see. King's advisor, a female Goliath named Vanu whatever. You know how their names go.
They're all jacked up, yeah.
Yeah, this is the other thing. When I faced this a lot when I was building my content generator and trying to make a good NPC generator. I didn't just want mediocre. I wanted something that was going to give continuity and make sense. And when I was generating things, it was difficult to get to drill down to where if I generated a female Goliath, to actually get a female Goliath's name, that was difficult to do. And it required a shitload of tables nested within each other. And then the problem with that is they're all nested within each other. If I later wanted to call her name, I couldn't. Or I could, but it was really clunky. And I couldn't just call her first name. If you referenced it, you'd get it all, her
Right.
first and last name, and that sucked. So this is so much more powerful. Now, later, I can just use her first name if I want to in something. Let's say she owns a tavern. It could be Vanu's Tavern, and I can use that later. And all of these things, light lavender eyes, I can use these later. So it's so much better. And that's so column referencing. I use it extensively.
How long does Fantasy Grounds store the information you've called from tables?
Until you do a reload or you restart Fantasy Grounds.
Okay, so it doesn't go session to session.
Correct.
Okay, that makes sense because it would have to build a whole like XML file to store all that if it was going to keep it.
Yeah, and I mean, furthermore, you wouldn't really want it to do that because if later in the campaign you want to generate another tavern, you want new data.
Right.
So yeah, so you've already got the story from the tavern you generated before. Where it does become important is if when we get to cross template referencing, it does become important that a reload will wipe all the data because when we get to cross template referencing, you can get very complex, and I do get very complex with how these work. And what you want to do is if you're going to generate something, generate it all at once. Go ahead and generate your city, and if there's things inside that say to generate the towns, generate them. Because when you're using cross-template things, if you close your session and you've generated a city that had a bunch of other generators inside of it, and then later you're like, oh, let me see what taverns are in the city. If you didn't generate them, well, that data is wiped. You might as well just make a new city. So
right.
I'll show what that's all about here in a little bit.
But yeah, you can like Marbania says in the chat, you can generate all that stuff and then put it into a either notes field or another story entry, and then there you've got it all saved.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Man, this is cool.
Okay, so call out internal rolling. All right, so this is getting a little in the weeds, right? But I found some really cool usages for it. What this is we're going to roll on tables, and the results from those tables will give us the final table to roll on. And this is subtly different from just nesting tables. So let's take a look. Our settlement is going to be called, we're going to roll on race test 2. It's just going to give us one of 2 races, I think, or one of 3 races. And village test, it's really just a table that's set up to pump out village. But there's 2 tables here, race test 2 and village test, and name comes after it. So what's going to happen here is it's going to roll on this table. It's going to come up with one of these races. So let's say elf. It's going to roll on village test. It's going to spit out village. And then name is here. So what Fantasy Grounds is going to see after it does these internal rolls is elf village name. And we're going to custom name that settlement. Now, why? This is where custom naming comes into its own. Because you could never reference this without custom naming because you don't know what table it's going to roll on. You just don't know. So you couldn't reference elf village name later because what happens if these rolled human village name, right? Your reference would be useless. But now with custom naming, we named it settlement. We don't care. We can just call it settlement from thereafter, and we're good. So let's take a look. Hereafter, we can just refer to that with our custom name of settlement, like right here. So let's roll on this so we can see what we're talking about. Scroll down to call out internal rolling. Our settlement is called Shining Summit. Hereafter, we can refer to that with our custom name of settlement, Shining Summit. Once rolled on, we can still reference the internal callouts as well. For an example, the settlement above is a dwarf settlement. See here, I've referenced race test 2 that rolled in here. This was done using a reference to race test 2. So why is that cool, right? And why is it different than just nesting tables? And here's why. We rolled on a dwarf settlement, Shining Summit. We can later recall that this was a dwarf settlement. And this is something you can't do with nested tables. If I nested tables and said the first parent table is going to be race, the second table is going to be a bunch of village tables, and then the third table is going to be the name. When I reference, I can't find out if it was a dwarf settlement. If it's not like utterly apparent, if it's not like Hammer Smack Town or something dwarven, then I don't even know it's a dwarf settlement. I mean, if the name is pretty generic, I don't even know, and there's no way to find out under the standard way. But with call out internal rolling, we can. We let Fantasy Grounds determine which race village name to roll on. And then we can come back and check and see, okay, it rolled on Dwarf Settlement. We can use that to generate the other ones. We can use call out internal rolling at this point to reference race test 2 and put it in for the mayor's name and all the NPCs in the story. They can all be dwarven names. You can now take that dwarf data and use it all over the place. So that's why I call out internal rolling, and that's just one use case. But there's a lot of different ways to use this, and it kind of makes it more deterministic. But that's why you also have to use custom naming, if that all makes sense. And I understand that this, like I said, it's a little in the weeds, so this one might be a little bit hard to grasp. Did I do a good job of explaining that?
Yeah, I mean,
Yes,
it
actually.
is. Yeah, I see the value of that immensely. Just so, but I mean, it does really drill down. But I can see where people would be like, "Oh my God, thank God this exists." You know?
Yeah, I'm one of those people. Yeah. The funny thing is, like, so this was like a crusade for me. I got so into making content generator, and I kept running into brick wall after brick wall after brick wall, and I kept going into the suggested features or the wish list, and like just trying to like rep the things that I wanted done. Like, please, people vote for this thing on the wish list so we can get it done. And I just didn't see it ever happening. So I went on Udemy and took like a $15 coding course and then coded this. So
Nice. I love that.
it was like, necessity is the mother of invention. So I just got tired of running into so many brick walls when I was trying to make excellent stories. So this is
Yeah.
one of them. Is being able to let the tables determine what final table to roll on, and then being able to reference those is so huge. All right, so call out internal rolling. Now call out internal referencing. All right. So here we're taking a reference from before and using it within square brackets to roll on a new table. So if I wanted to, I could say like B here, right? So there's another word in there. So first we roll on a table to get a race. This time we'll name it as main race. So we're going to roll on race test 3. We're going to name it main race. We can use that previously rolled result to call a new table. I can throw the reference to main race inside village name, and it will give me we'll reference it here, main race village. So here you can see we got human. When we rolled on race test 3 and we called it main race, we got human. We can use it to call a table. So here it took human. We referenced it in here. It threw in human, and it rolled on human village name. Dawnmore, a human village. And so this is really great because let's say you're going to generate your NPC first. This is just a use case. Let's say we generate an elf guy, and he's the mayor, right? And so we can take his race and pack it right into the village name and roll on the village name table from his race. He's the mayor. He's an elf. Well, it's an elven village. Let's just do that. So it works both ways. You can roll on tables inside to determine and reference it later, or you can roll on it first and use the reference inside of a table callout. That's call out internal referencing. I have just sent Smiteworks a new update to this to add some features to call out internal referencing, which would be that you can hopefully once they look that over and put that in, you'll be able to custom name it using a custom name. Because when I first wrote this code, I wasn't thinking about call out internal referencing as callouts, which is what they are. I was thinking of them as references. And so my brain was just a little whacked out on that. So I fixed that. Now, once they put that in there, you should be able to custom name them, and you'll also be able to use the hidden feature on them. So
Cool.
that's coming, but it's not in yet.
By the way, does the wiki have all of this?
It does, yes,
It does, okay.
and it does, yep. And there's a couple things on the wiki that I've just gotta have them fix. I'm not really sure who to contact to get them. It's just minor things with verbiage to make sure that it's a little better understandable. But yeah, all of this syntax is on the wiki.
Okay.
So that's internal referencing, using something that taking something we've rolled before and now sticking it into a table callout in order to get a result. This also works with column references. So if we scroll down here, we'll roll on a table with columns. So NPC, any gender, and I called it mayor. And we hit it with the question mark. That's the hidden feature. So we're going to use the first column of the table to populate which race the village should be. So this is what I just talked about, right? So here, what do we get? We hit it. So we don't know what race the mayor was. Down here, we got Silent Cairn West, which is a human village. So here, mayor column number 1. I stuck mayor column number 1 inside of a callout of human village name. That's what it ended up being. So we got Silent Cairn West, which is a human village because the female named Celestine Hilton is a human. And you can see I've used the column references all over here to pull that out of mayor that we rolled before.
Right.
It's the exact same thing as this one above, call out internal referencing. It's just down here, I separated it for clarity because you can use the hashtag, the column references, also inside here. And you can use them together as well. If I wanted to use, let's say that village was a table we rolled on before, I could use these interchangeably and together in the same one. I could use a column reference and a regular reference within the table callout. It works. And that's internal column referencing of a callout. Any questions on that?
Is everybody shitting their pants in the chat? Have you guys? If you have questions, ask them. I think we answered all the ones that have been asked so far, but
Okay,
that's
cool.
pretty cool stuff.
So hidden roles, I've already showed you this a lot, right? It's very simple. You add a question mark before the first letter of your table's name, and then the temple it just won't print what comes out.
Right.
Here I rolled on a table called color. I custom named it hat color. Here is where that should have shown. It doesn't, but the color we got was periwinkle blue.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay, so here's the other thing, and this is something I did not intend to happen, but it ended up being like a happy accident. This is the side benefit. If whatever you type in here is not a table name, you can still reference it. And I did not know that until literally I was setting up for to come on your show. So here I've wrote Fantasy Grounds kicks ass, right? That's not a table. I just wrote that. That's just a string. That's just text that I put there. I custom named it promo. The phrase was stored and hidden. So here I said every time I say, and I've referenced it promo, it will spit out what I typed.
Wow, that's funny.
Yeah, and that was unintended, but it's actually kind of great. It makes it to where if there's something in a story that I want to use again or over and over, I don't need to, like, let's say that there's a chant or something. I'm just making this up on the fly, but there's a chant and they say it, and I don't want to type that again and again, or I want to use it other places. I just type it once and name it chant, and then I can just reference it and it will reprint it wherever I like.
That is pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it was unintended consequence, but I really like it. So that's not in the wiki. That's a pro tip for you viewers out there. Now you know.
Only here, everybody. Only here.
Yeah, only here. Yeah. Okay, so date calls. Here you can see I'm putting it like it's a table. This is not a table. This is a special kind of call you can now do within story templates. So for all of you out there, if you have a table called this, your host, it's not gonna use that table anymore. It's going to use this special syntax. So you can see what I've typed here and then what printed. Here I've got date, and so that's the way to start it with a colon. And then you've got format, day/3m/2ds. Got us, since day was spelled out in the format, it gave us the whole word of Sunday. Since month was 3 letters, it gave us the abbreviated version. Now it rolled May here because it's May. But if it was June, it would have gave us JUN because it's the abbreviated version. And then the 2Ds gave us 16th. And you can see there's a myriad of ways this can be shown. This one here, old school, prints out kind of a lengthy, funny version of it. And it works for Fantasy Grounds dates as well. I don't have a Fantasy Grounds calendar module loaded, so I can't really go over that, but it's essentially the same exact thing. The only thing you would change would be FG before date for Fantasy Grounds. And that'll use the date from your Fantasy Grounds calendar instead of your computer calendar. So this is really handy for sticking in the names of your templates that you generate. If you've got a long campaign and they visited, a city back in November, it's really easy to search for November and see everything you generated in November at that point. Or you can put the date first in front of your names, and then inside your story, it'll all be chronologically listed. So there's that. So I find this handy, and it was suggested by someone on the forums when I kind of went hunting for more things to add. So that's dates.
Now wait a minute, you can't do the actual call out in the title, right? You have to call it out and then paste it in the title.
No. We can do it right here in the title. So let's grab this here. Control C, we'll throw it right up here.
What?
V, and
Get
generate.
the hell out of here.
And we get story template examples Sunday, May 16th.
What? Oh my god.
Yeah.
Everybody relax. Just calm down. I'm having a coronary.
Yeah, so that's super handy. And not just for that, if you use the Fantasy Grounds calendar, it will also, I've noticed I started using it in my main campaign where I've got an actual calendar module loaded. But it started making me use the calendar more because it's kind of cool when a character in the game, an NPC, says something like, no, the business isn't open, it's a Tuesday, right? And like, it actually is a Tuesday on your Fantasy Grounds calendar. Or you can use like the real life calendar, and it's kind of neat how they can reference something that it's like the day you're playing.
Yeah. Now, can you use other calls in the title as well? I never knew this was a thing.
Oh yeah.
You
Oh
can
my
use
god,
any
yes.
table. Oh my god.
Yeah. All of mine. If you notice here, like this one, this story template is all tables. Main city nickname.
I had no idea you could even ever do that. That's never come up, but that's crazy.
Yeah. Well, and so the code actually makes it a lot more powerful now too. This is great. It used to be that you could only do this one way. It was a one-way street. If you rolled on something in your name, you could reference that inside your template, but you couldn't do it the other way around. If you rolled on something in your template, you couldn't use it in your name.
Yeah.
That's no longer a thing. With the new code that we threw in there, you can now do it. It's a two-way street. If I roll on something here, like this Fantasy Grounds Kicks Ass promo thing, if I typed in promo up here and referenced it with the alligator brackets,
oh my god,
it would now show up in the name. So it's a two-way street now. You can they talk to one another. So
this
handy.
Right. This has so much choose your own adventure potential.
Yeah, it does.
No more. Go to page 274.
Yeah,
and,
just generate that shit and
generate it as you go.
Yeah,
it's super fun actually. So that's dates and date calls, and this is the holy grail. I'll tell you what, this took me 3 months to crack, you guys. This is hundreds of hours poured into figuring out how to do this. This is cross
to the choir. You're preaching to the choir.
Right. So here's what we've done. We're gonna take NPC, any race, any gender, tavern owner, and we're gonna roll on it here, and that's what we did. So here we got we roll a full NPC. We got a human female, Hana Mae's selfish dragon. Right. We're gonna use their name in another template. So all of this, here's the syntax here. We're not using square brackets. Cross template things have a separate little they're special little snowflakes, and they get the curly braces. Is what they get. Other than that, they're rolled very similarly. You just swap the square brackets out for curly braces, and now you've got something that's being stored. It's being stored. I call it in the cloud. It's not stored anymore alongside this and only within this template. It's going to be stored somewhere else, somewhere safe, somewhere far away. And other templates can then reach into that safe place and take a peek. And if you reference something, they can go, oh, we've already rolled on Tavern Owner. Let's grab that data and bring it over. So let me show you the power of this. I'll just dig into this one here, the main city nickname. All right,
I want to see this.
So you can see here I'm using the squiggly braces, right? So these squiggly braces, they signify cross template, right? Now, these are references. Think of them just like the alligator ones. So this one is basically just like, oops, let me go back. It's just like doing this, okay? Just like doing a reference. Except by putting the curly braces, I'm saying I want you to reference what I've already rolled on before. So where am I rolling on those? Where am I getting main city? Right
down
That's
there.
not a tape. Yeah, right here. City name first half, main city. City name second half, main city nickname. And so now I've got, not only does my template make sense, my template, when I look at it, it says main city nickname. I like that. But when I roll on it, it will give me those names, right? So generate. Let's see what we get. We're going to get a giant table. We got Oz again, the city of glass. Once again, I can't stand that going to UI 130 has done that. Okay. Oz again, the city of glass, right? And you can see here divider, right? Here's divider arrows down, divider arrows up. And so I've
Nice.
got like, yeah, I've got like this neat, like when it generates, it looks nice and it's easy to see. So the city is 24 travel days away, blah, 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 right? Now, down here, you can see main city, right? I didn't use a cross template here. I don't need to. We can just reference it as normal. I called it main city. And so I don't want the second part. I don't want the nickname. And you see Oz again began as a thick forest, right? So city landscaped referenced. Now I have tables and I put the reference tag when we're using cross template references. So take a look at this. I've rolled on a city. I've rolled on a table called city landscape, right? But check it out. It knows what the city was called. Being that Ozagend has no visible water source, right? How did it get Ozagend?
How did it
A
get
table. Yeah, a table that doesn't have Ozagend. Why don't we just open up tables and we'll look at city landscape reference. City landscape referenced. So, what we've got here, here's my cross template. See how there's a curly brace that says
You
main
sneaky
city?
bastard.
It's going to when I rolled on main city, no, any table I have that has main city, it's gonna get whatever I rolled. Every single table I have that says main city is gonna have Ozagend now. And it will spit that out. Or main city nickname. A river runs right through main city nickname. So it would say a river runs right through the city of glass. And so now I can pull those things into tables and dig them up and bring them around, but it gets even better. Okay, so let's go down. Let's find our neighboring kingdoms. Here we go. Neighboring kingdoms. Let's go find it in what we rolled. Neighboring kingdoms. So we rolled 3 cities here. We got Otre, the excited city, Xaka, the city of zest, and Aprim, the half city. As you can see here, these are all cross-template references. I rolled on campaign city names 3. I called it nearby city 1. Campaign city names 4, nearby 1 nickname, and all of these are cross-template references. So these are callouts. I rolled these for the first time right here in this template, or in this story template, right? Now watch this. Need to generate Ostre? Click here. So let's click here. Notice here that this template starts off in the top, nearby city 1. Well, that's what we rolled over here. Nearby city 1. So if I roll this, I will get Ostre. I won't get some random city. I'm actually going to get Ostre, the excited city. And if I scroll down on to the relations with neighboring kingdoms on Ostre, check it out. Ozagend, the city of glass. Well, that's the city that we rolled. That's our main city. And you can see these things, they are relational and they are true to each other. Relations with Ostre are strong. Relations with Ozagend are strong, are very strong and are very strong because the city relations are also cross-template. City relations, city 1 relations. And so you can make them, they're talking to each other. This one is actually talking about your main city of Ozagend, Ostre. Let's take a look at Xaka, the city of zest. Let's generate Xaka. And now we have Xaka, the city of zest. And if we scroll down to the city relations, Oh, I passed it. Relations. Osagend, once again, that's your main city. Notice in our main city it said relations with Zaka are not so good. And that's what it says here. Relations with Osagend are not so good. Ostray, the excited city, they're terrible. Zaka and Ostray hate each other. Exaka, here it is, Zaka, the city of Zest. Their relations are terrible. These things, they're not random anymore. Now, the first template that I generated data for all the rest to use. And then when you make them, you get a full, complete city, complete with histories, what happened to them hundreds of years ago, all of that. This first one didn't need to generate all the history of Ostray. It really only just needed to generate Ostray and what its relations like were with it. That way we have a whole other template that we can generate Ostray, what religions and gods it has, and who its government is, and things like that. And we can generate it as needed. Now this is where I talk about when you do a reload of Fantasy Grounds, everything is wiped, right? So this is why it's important. If I generate Osagend here, and I think I'm going to use Osagend in my campaign, it's a good idea to go ahead and generate Ostray, Zaka, and Aprim right now. Because all that data was rolled, and it's sitting there for Fantasy Grounds to look at and generate these other cities. We'll generate Aprim, get Aprim, we'll just do it. Even if I'm not going to use Aprim right now, it's a good idea. Because once I reload, I can no longer generate Aprim. It's not going to happen. I'll get some random city. So it's a good idea to do it.
And
if you're going to do,
just to be clear with anybody watching, the templates are there, but and they that all gets reset. But when you generate any template, when you push the generate button, that generates a permanent story entry that you'll always have. So just to remember that.
Yep,
it's a basic function, but I mean, people might forget, like, oh, how do I save it? Well, you've got it saved.
Correct. Yep. So Osagend here that we've generated, once we hit generate, we have Osagend. He's over here in our stories, and we can search for Osagend. Oh, geez. Got my story thing all huge. Let's make it a little more palpable. Here we go. And if we look for Osagend, there it is right there. It's in our stories. And when we reload Fantasy Grounds or whatever, this doesn't go away. This is still here, and we can open Osagend and always have it.
Right.
So this is cross-template referencing, and I mean, the extent this can be used to, especially when you take in mind that cross-template referencing takes advantage of all the other powers as well. So the column referencing, the internal references, all of that, it all works with cross-template references. And when you start really kind of tinkering with this, it can get pretty insane. Let's take a look real quick. Largest brothel in the city. Now let's go to the Cantorate. Let's go down to, so here we've got the king, right? And this is using column referencing. Let's take a look at what we did with the column referencing here. King number 3. Now where did I roll on this? Where did I get king? I probably did it just somewhere nearby. What do we got here? Here we go. NPC human male, king. NPC human male, prince. Human female, queen. So I've named them this. This makes it so easy, so much better when you're writing story templates, by the way, to be able to just type princess, and you don't have to be all cryptic with it. Like, oh, was princess NPC human female 63? Oh, shoot, I don't remember. Like, you can just type princess now, and it makes it so much better. So royal family here, king 3, king 4. He has king 13 eyes, decorated in 21 and 22. And what we get is he has amber eyes, clothes decorated in magenta and dark brown, and it's obviously tired, yawning constantly, right? And this is put right into a text thing so that you can just hit it and bring it up for the king. And then it gives I made a little like voice prompt for the DM if they want to do that kind of thing. And you've got the queen, you've got the prince. Now check it out. King and queen and everything like that. These are all, notice I used the king's last name for the queen. These are all cross-template reference. Let me tell you how much I use these all over the place. Because when it comes down to like royal rumors or things like that, let's see, where's that at? Where's the rumors? Interesting events. Cheerful halfling, interesting events. Where's the rumors? Oh, it's probably just below here. Royal court. Royal drama. This one didn't roll any on it. So the city of the nearby this city and the nearby city of Aprim. Notice it right in this table. So if we scroll down here to our royal drama, it says royal drama referenced, and once again, this is a table that uses nearby city names. So Aprim, this is the city that's nearby that has terrible relations. They frequently use commoners in a giant game of chess, and the people are becoming sick of it. So, um, all of these things, the royal ambassador, all of these, they're all
Everybody humped the queen.
right. They're all cross template referenced. So in the resulting areas, I use these names all over the place. If we go down and here we've got the city historical period, so 144 years ago, a visiting diplomat from the nearby city of Ostray died under mysterious circumstances. So here we're cross template referencing again. We're using Ostray here. Or Otray. Oops. Sorry for the people of Otray. I've been mispronouncing your city name.
How dare you?
How dare I? Sacrilege.
Quick question. Diablo Bob wants to know, is there a module example for this in Fantasy Grounds, or the one that you're with all your tables, is that available to people, or do people just have to manually generate everything?
So right now, I don't know of any that people have made. I have been making this one that you're currently looking at for probably the last 5 months or so, because my goalpost is a little ambitious. I would like to create something that a DM could feasibly sit down and press a generate button and get a rather large campaign with a storyline and side quests and everything and characters that and a map of a continent. So I'm looking to come out with this, and that's what I've been working on for a long time.
I'm hoping that you're going to commercially sell that and get something for your effort, because that's amazing.
Yeah, there's a couple ways I wanted to go about that. The way I really want to do it is I 100% need to get compensated for all that time.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree.
Yeah, it's insane if I don't. But what I would kind of like to do, I'd have to get Smiteworks on board with it, is I would like to do a Kickstarter to just get compensated for making it. And if the Kickstarter is successful, then just put it out there for free for everybody. So I've been compensated for my time, and I don't need to get residuals on that.
Wow, that's amazing.
That's what I would like to do.
I would
like
have
to
to
do
believe
that.
they would be 100% on board with that.
Yeah. So we'll see. They have to approve any kind of Kickstarter stuff.
They totally do.
So, yeah, so that's the main one. And if that doesn't work, or they don't approve it, or it doesn't fall through, then I'll throw it up there on DM's Guild or something like that. But
right.
I would like for it to
if that's
be
the way
just
you end
on
up
the
going, you talk to me first.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I would like for it to just be something that people can go on the forums and find in that extensions thread, and it's just free. That would be wonderful.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah. So I'm not aware. I don't think anybody has really kind of dove into this and geeked out on it yet. And I would totally have some simpler ones out, but this is soaking up all my time making this giant one. So yeah, sorry, Diablo Bob. I don't think there's anything out right now. And my current content generator, it doesn't include any of this stuff because none of this stuff was invented when I made that guy.
Where do we send the money to? Come on.
Yeah, so that's what I'm working on. But let's take a look real quick. So we've got taverns. The Court's House. This is the best tavern in the city. There's other taverns, and you can generate those if you want a large one, a small one, or whatever. But the Court's House is cross-template referenced. It will use people from within this template. So here we got Tavern City's Best, right? We're going to generate that. Let's just see what we get. Maybe we get something really cool. The Court's House. Did we get something cool? Not really. Sometimes when don't get me wrong, this is cool, but there's a place here that is hidden from view. Tavern unique feature, yes or no? It's this one. Sometimes these taverns, when you generate them, they'll have connections with other places in town. So you might generate the best tavern in the city. The owner might be the same owner as the Gangster's Paradise. Where it gets cool is these religions centers. They'll have seedy dealings with the secret society in town, and maybe let's generate the brothel real quick. Let's see if they come up with anything cool, like these interesting kind of. We're having bad luck here. No, I don't see that they're. Nope. Okay, let's generate the church. City's largest sacred place for Melil, the god of poetry and song. A sacred place for Melil. Let's go down to the leader, the Cantorate. Cantorate is up front. As you get closer, they're scorning a crying woman. Personality traits. Hold on, where's the
Crying woman,
rumor?
why don't you shut the fuck up? Oh god, that's
The rumors.
Early.
Okay, here's the. Oh, check it out. Okay, so we did get something cool. So these are the rumors, right? The Cantorate used to be a member of the royal court and still keeps in touch with Oriana, the supreme royal wizard, on a regular basis. If we go to Oz again and we take a look, lo and behold, our supreme wizard is Oriana, right? So here, even if I didn't care to have read all of this, or I didn't know that I didn't remember that the supreme wizard was someone named Oriana. But later I generate this church. This is something cool that I could be like, keeps in touch with Oriana, the supreme royal wizard, right? I could make this a hook. This could be somebody they need to get, or maybe they need to get to the wizard. Well, they need to get to the Cantorate first. The Cantorate keeps in touch with the wizard, and I have all the details you could ever want to know on the Cantorate, all their personality traits and things, what they want, what they fear, that everything about them. So these things all work together, and so that was I like that. That came up with a good cross-template reference there to Cantorate. But there are some other things that talk to one another, like secret societies. Here we got a secret society called the Prophecies. This is the main one in town. And let's see, the Prophecies. They worship the Tiger King. All right. Okay, so they often brandish imagery of a man with a mullet and pink tiger print leather. Nice.
wow.
Okay, they are interested in tigers, felines, and stalking predators. Let's see. They run their operations from here. Membership leader. The members, third in command, the strategist, the messenger. Okay. Well, we didn't get lucky with Ozagend. A lot of times, so I put a lot of like Easter eggs in these things where you'll roll it and the secret society is getting sacrifices out of the brothel. And you look at the brothel and it's like the brothel is secretly run by the Cantorate in the temple. And so you couldn't do that without cross-template referencing. Before cross-template referencing, every single story template was an island. And what you generated there, it was on its own. And it was on you, the DM, to find ways that link them. Or to just change them and lie, right? Like, you could just, nobody knows what you generated, so you could just change them on the fly. But, I mean, with a lot of data, A, remembering all that sucks. And B, doing it on the fly, it's a pain in the butt when you've got so much, right? So
did you just put Chris Perkins out of business? I mean, did you just generate his math right off the
he
bat?
doesn't need to write any more stories. We're gonna have as many
right?
stories
He
as
just
you
generates them now. Damn, Wizard of the Coast, done.
If you can pull that off, the thing where someone would just hit a button and it would generate the entire campaign with locations, NPCs, storyline, encounters. That's gonna be insane.
Yeah. So let's take a look real quick. Wait, Ozagend. Wait, so I've got a little bit done on it. City map. So check it out. Ozagend has no visible water source, such as a river or lake. So it's got to be supplied by a series of deep wells, right? City map 17 was generated for Ozagend. Let's do this. Notice there's no lake. There's no rivers. This description of Ozagend tells Fantasy Grounds which map to grab, so that it doesn't say this in the chat that it has no river or lake, and then you get a map with a river or a lake.
It's a city in the middle of an
So
ocean.
each map has a table associated with it. Is that?
Yeah. So and these tables will tell it which map to grab, so that it makes sense. If we generate another one, let's see if we get one that has like a river or something. Let's generate Krabbis. Krabbis has no visible water source. Oh, of course it doesn't. Why would it? Let's try a different one. Everybody knows Krabbis does not have a river. Let's
Nobody
see.
goes there.
Oh my god. There's another one with no river. We are getting the greatest rolls.
You can't ever roll a crit when you want one.
Nope. And apparently it's not liking me. Oh, here we go. Bingo. Chada. The
It's
flag
a very
city.
dry area.
Chada, a river runs right through the flag city, carrying commerce directly within, and we get this.
Nice.
We get a city.
Who did your maps that you're using here?
This was there's an online source. Oh man, and put me on the spot on knowing exactly the name of this. I credit it in Content Generator. There's a credit for it, but it's I don't remember. But it's it's an open source. It's like a program that he wrote that's browser based, and you can type in what you want in a city and how big and things like that, and it will randomly generate.
Yeah.
And they're free to use for any. It's a complete open license on everything. So that's where I grabbed these from, and then I was able to just categorize them. I made a bunch with rivers, a bunch without, a bunch next to an ocean or a lake, and then smaller ones for towns and villages. And then I put them in tables to go with the description of the city. So that's part of the whole campaign thing, right? Though, is that you have some maps. I mean, if you're going to have a campaign,
right,
you need a map. Yeah. So like, and then when we're talking about continents, this is like a beginning sort of. I'm trying to flesh out what areas would look like. Of course, Fantasy Grounds doesn't like this. So then you've got
yeah, baby.
a continent map you can use. And what I would like to do is, have the tables, the cross-template references, use places on the map, and to where you can click on a place and it can bring up a city map and it can bring up the city generator and you can generate that city. But it has relations with the nearby kingdoms. So I would like it to be a world generator, with stories. So the idea with the stories is I write, so far I've got about 5 or 6 different storylines. And these are like main hooks for a campaign, where one is maybe you have to retrieve a MacGuffin, right? And there's a story template for that storyline on retrieving the MacGuffin and why is it such a big deal? Why is it difficult? Where might you need to go? And kind of generate a complete campaign off of that. But then the next time you get a group together and you open Fantasy Grounds and you hit generate again, maybe now you get, stop a plague.
Yeah.
And so now you have a completely different campaign that's been generated, with totally different cities and different NPCs and different hooks and side quests and things like that. So that's the idea behind kind of the next big project that I'm working on, is trying to make something that's a world builder at the press of a button for people running Fantasy Grounds.
That's crazy. All right, so you're going to have this Kickstarter done by Thursday, yeah?
Yeah. Here's the problem with my workflow and how I do this. I don't have any other projects going on, well, besides like woodworking stuff, but like computer-wise, I don't have any other projects going on. So I totally get into the weeds in areas. Like I'll be making...
Yep. I know. When I was doing the coding, it was a lot of the same thing, but once I started, this is 4 years ago or whenever I started doing that, I was like 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. I couldn't stop. It just couldn't stop.
Yeah. And I'll lose track of the main goal, and I'll just like start working on
yours has many, because you're working with like a lot of variables. You're like, oh, that's a new idea for another table. Let me make that. Like I can totally
exactly. Exactly.
Yep. I mean, this is already crazy.
Do you ever get to use the software?
Oh yeah. Oh my God. My main campaign, they have benefited from my work. I can't even tell you how many times it has generated this. These generators have done some crazy shit for my main campaign. I generated a tavern. This is a good example. I generated a tavern. It came up with everything. Let's just go ahead and generate a freaking tavern real quick.
Do you stream your games, Jim Socks?
No, I would like to, but my players are not comfortable with that, and I understand why. We're all ex-military. And so we've got extremely bad language and off-color jokes.
So this is you're talking about my stream. Yeah, you're talking about.
Well, so
ex-military, yeah. There's some spoilers going on.
The hard part with that is, in today's day and age, if someone wanted a career later, they worry.
Yeah.
Something they say could be used against them.
Yep, I get it. And I've experienced that, quite frankly.
Yeah, so they're hesitant, and I get it. I would love to stream. I'm telling you what, I'm set up 100%. I have streamed a couple games where it was like that was kind of that was the understanding going into it. Like,
Yeah.
guys, I'm going to stream these games if you want to come in, and we did like the Alien RPG, and I had a blast streaming it. I would love to do it, but they are hesitant, and I totally understand why.
I think when you
So
do the Kickstarter, you should maybe you don't have to stream a game, but you could do a mock, like an 30 or 60-minute video of you actually using it, going, the party goes here, they fight this thing, they go seek this thing, they get that treasure, they have these skill whatever it is. I think that would be really amazing.
absolutely, yeah, absolutely. Just to kind of show it off. I mean, you have to
exactly.
do a Kickstarter. So and to say like how this has impacted my main game, I have like a really good example of this, right? So the best tavern in the city, the Court's House. We've already generated this, but we can just generate it again. Who cares? It's still the Court's House. Oh wait, I generated other cities, so it's not the Court's House. Okay, so we got I generated other cities in the meantime while we were sitting there, trying to get that perfect city with the river running through it. Okay, so we've got the mayor and the spellcaster clubhouse. So I generated a tavern for them, and they went inside. And I had kind of a little side quest for them already where they were supposed to go off and rescue someone. But to get them that person that was going to give them the side quest, I used this. I used a tavern generator, right? And I was like, I'll have the barkeep do it. So here we've got a dwarf, right? And this is his name. And it tells all about him, what he's currently doing, counting money, right? Well, the guy that I generated had a tattoo. It was like a tattoo of a wolf on his neck. And they kind of keyed into that. And so I had already generated the city and everything, and it came up with, oh, this is the example one. It came up with the secret society. I've lost Oz again already, so I don't have it. Generate. Oh, that's not this. It came up with the secret society. I jumped onto the secret society, and I generated that as well. And it became this rabbit hole. This was only supposed to be a minor little side quest, right? It turned into, this generated probably a 6-session thing where they ended up going to another city, and they ended up, now I'm flying 100% by the seat of my pants on here. None of this was I hadn't considered, look, I'm not, when I make a campaign of my own or whatever, or you know what, this particular one, I'm running off of a book. I'm using a module. I'm using Out of the Abyss. And and they were in the surface world at this point. Well, the Out of the Abyss book doesn't talk about the surface world. Why would it? The whole campaign's underground. So I had no material for this. I just used generators. I used the generators for literally everything for 6 sessions. I didn't prepare. I prepared 0%, you guys. I showed up. I was like, all right, they're traveling. So I would break open a travel generator. Let me just grab that real quick. I break open a travel generator. Content generator. This is using the old one, right? But I would use not Tavern, travel generator. I'm like, all right, they're going across the plains. Great. Generate. And then I would give them the weather. And then travel events. Nothing happened, or daytime, interesting event. The village that you came on, I just make up a village. And then I would generate a village. I would bring up the village and hit village, and it would come up with the whole village. And they would go inside and find out what's in the village. And then they would leave, right? And there was a nighttime interesting event. And then here's some encounters for levels 1 through 4 or 5 through 10 or 11. And then here's the NPC generators. Here's all the other generators just handy. But then here's things about traveling in the plains. And as they're like role playing, I'll come down here and be like, okay, undergrowth. And I'll kind of like read the undergrowth and be like, all right, that gives me some ideas. Okay, cool. Light rubble. Sure, that sounds, DC of balance and tumble checks increases by 2. I like that. Okay, so we're going to do, and as they're just kind of role playing, I'm looking through this and like, that's wonderful, right? I like that. So let's generate another day of plains travel. And this is what I did until they reached a city. And then I brought up a city and I said, generate the city. And it brought up, whatever. Here we got Clifford, the herb city, which it makes for some laughs as well, right? I can take this and riff on it, right? It's the herb city. Like like I can make jokes about how they're a bunch of stoners or they have like a drug trade or something, if I wanted to. And it has everything about it. And we ran for so many sessions with literally me not preparing a word. Everything was just generated for me, and I just ran with the generators, and we had a blast. And the crazy thing is, So I didn't let on to my players, but these are the same players I've been playing with for 6 years, right? I didn't let on to them that all of this was generated. And when we got back into the Underdark in the campaign, they would bring up when we talked about after sessions that some of their most memorable events had come from this bullshit that I had pulled my ass.
That's so awesome.
Right?
It wasn't even part of the thing.
Yeah, some of their most memorable moments that they were like talking about and they continue to talk about were just generated moments. They didn't come from the book at all. And I had a couple of them, mentioned. They're like, it's unbelievable how much you prepare for these. And I'm just like, you gotta be kidding me! Like, like for those sessions, I didn't prepare at all. I showed up completely cold.
That's
like when you guys
awesome.
logged in, I logged in. So so that was really cool, and it just kind of, it gives me even more drive to get this out there into the hands of more people, because these are the kind of experiences that that I want everybody to have. And being a DM is a big responsibility, and it's you're responsible for a lot of people's fun time and their leisure time that they're using. And I tend to, if I didn't have this at my fingertips, I over prepare, and that's something I've always tried to dial in, because I know over preparing is not good, and I can riff really well. I can roll with the punches really well, but I still want to be more prepared. And I end up spending a lot of extra time outside the game getting used to that. And I think there's a lot of people out there, a lot of people who would like to DM and they don't have that time. And this could be their entryway into being a DM, something that saves them all their time.
Yeah.
I'm imagining Rob Toohey pickup campaigns.
Yeah. I mean, it's just so amazing. I mean, first of all, I don't like to prepare anyway, but and I was a professional improver, so this all just speaks to me. It's just so fantastic, but I love the idea. I can't wait. I'm excited for you, because I think the greatest thing is when this is just a widely available thing for all players. And this works. This isn't just 5e, everybody. This is a core RPG thing, right? It works in all the rule sets.
Yeah,
so
that's correct.
All aspects of role playing, every RPG system on Fantasy Grounds will be able to use this. And just imagine being able to say, let's have a campaign, and you don't need to buy a book or anything. You just turn this on and click the first one, and off you go, and then just take it as you go.
That's it. That's what I'm. That's the goal. That's what I'm aiming for. And like I said, I get
most of the way there. I mean, you've shown us so much. I mean, it's amazing.
You think so, but
I mean, I know there's work to do, but you've got a lot of the work done. You've got a lot of the tables built, and you have the thing in your head. You know what the steps are and what you need to do. So that's most of it's in your mind's eye, and you just need to complete the work. So that's just awesome.
Yeah, it's I need to, I should probably lay out, since it's something I should probably lay out a better roadmap, so I don't, like I was saying, I'll get into making the brothel.
Yeah,
and
you'll waste 3 weeks on something that you didn't need to do.
Yeah, I'll be like, I could make a generator for brothel basements. Let's do that.
the brothel has a vending machine. Let me make a table on the vending machine.
Yeah.
I actually, about 4 or 5 years ago, I made a table that was a brothel, or a brothel menu, and I was
nice.
told in no uncertain terms that I could not sell that on the DM's Guild. So I just, I mean, it had some pretty crazy shit in it. I was just gonna put it out there for people to laugh. I wasn't really expecting to sell it for money or anything. I just thought it would be funny to laugh at. But yeah, they said no to that.
Yeah. So, I don't have my brothels. What do they got? They don't got menus. They've got probably the funniest thing I've got in mine are probably the nicknames. Let's see. The three-legged halfling is the brothel for the city. let's generate that real quick.
Because of penis, everybody. That's the third leg.
Three-legged halfling.
All right. So the three-legged halfling is owned by a bronze dragonborn. But when we get down to this, is where that table, the horse, comes in.
The horse.
I love the nicknames. Noir. Oh, come on. Stone Rider. The Magnum.
Stone Rider.
The Magnum.
The Magnum.
A female Goliath named Kanya Loose Lips.
Yeah, see, that's
Yeah,
so fun.
yeah, that's and then I gave a next morning. The next morning you itch everywhere. So I had a couple players go into a brothel and they picked their I was like, this is the lineup. These are the lineups, right? And then they picked whoever they had, and then the next morning, you realize all you did was talk all night. It's what you
The
needed.
next morning your anus is broken. Oh man.
That's good old Pop Go Stone Rider. Don't mess with her. Yeah, so
a female halfling.
Right.
Nice. That's too funny.
Yeah. So
all right.
Did we give something away? Are you giving something away?
We're going to give some prize away. Did we cover everything you wanted to cover, Jim? Did we go through?
Let me just check real quick. Let's go to my little examples thing. Make sure we didn't miss anything. Let's scroll to the bottom. Date calls. Blah blah blah. Oh no, we didn't. Hold on.
Oh yeah, this is an important thing.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry about that. We got carried away in cross-template referencing. So indefinite article processing. This is a simple one. But basically, if you don't know what's going to be spit out of your table, if you don't know what's coming out, and you're using it in a story, a lot of times before you would type A, and it would come up and just sound weird, because it would be like a octopus or a umbrella or something, and that's not how it's supposed to be. So if you put your indefinite article, which is just an A, basically, or an and. That's what an indefinite article is. If you put it in parentheses, it will look at that and say, what's the word that comes after it? And it'll apply a whole bunch of rules to determine what comes. So let's just generate that real quick. Go down to indefinite article processing. Date calls. There we go. Here we got a coyote, a eagle. Oh, wait, what happened here?
That should be an eagle.
Yeah, you're right. I'm not exactly sure what happened there, so... I tested this just before it came up. Oh, you know what? I know what happened here. I am still working. I'm still typing code for this, so I have altered this so that I'm working on the code.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm running on a.
Your video covered that, and I saw that it did work.
Yeah, I'm running on a custom version of Core RPG right now. Where I've monkeyed with it. So in the live version, this should have no problems.
Okay.
Yeah, this should have no problems whatsoever. Hold on.
Captain Crow, thanks for the follow. Welcome to the stream.
I bet you if I do this on my custom version of, I bet you if I put a space before it, because I know what I've done when I monkeyed with the code. Oops, not that. I bet it does. Let's just take a look. There it is.
There we go.
A hawk and eel, a bear, a wolverine, a badger, an ostrich, a squirrel, and octopus. And so we didn't get any. Well, I only did a couple here with the space, but we didn't get any that would require an and here. But if you use a capital one, it will keep it capitalized. If you use lowercase one, it'll keep it lowercase. So that's handy. I used it all over the place. If you could tell, in the main city one, right? I used it. Oh, geez, I was seeing it all over the place. Or actually, right here in this examples I was using it.
Yeah. It shows up a lot, like right at the top there.
Oh, NPC. Here we go. NPC. Notice inside my table for he and his and she and her. That's auto capitalization. Shit, I'm getting mixed up. I'll leave that out for a second because that's the next thing. So, anyways, indefinite article processing, and then auto capitalization. That's the next thing. Mayor number 3 is the mayor. He makes it look easy because he knows what he is doing, right? So let's scroll down here, and we got Trawweir is the mayor. She makes it look easy because she knows what she is doing. She really loves her job. Because in that table, I have these, I've put these parentheses around the first letter. That's telling Fantasy Grounds, I don't know if this is going to begin a sentence or not. These words typically do. I mean, they can a lot. So here, because it rolled she, and it came after a period, it knew to capitalize she. But down here, it didn't come after some sort of punctuation, so it left it regular, and it removed those parentheses.
Yep.
So that's auto capitalization, and then column limit, as we already talked about, went to 30. And so those are the last two things. These just really help help you just make stories that read well. And if you're making a product that you're going to sell or give to people, then when you give it to them and they generate it, it looks presentable. It looks really nice too.
Yeah.
I mean, things are capitalized when they should be, and they're the correct. They read right. They don't read like an email scammer trying to like send your money off.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And again,
So
everybody, if you joined us late in the show and you're looking at those red lines and like, why is there an extra box there? That's because Jim Socks has resized his screen. Normally there'd just be the one line. Yeah. So just don't be upset by that, because that's the kind of thing that make me insane. But I know why it's he did that for you, everybody. He made the screen bigger so you could read it.
Right. Yeah.
Well, that is just so awesome. If you guys have any questions, we're about the end here, everybody. So if you have questions, type them in the chat. Meanwhile, I will give away a prize. Normally we like to give away what the presenter is doing, but this is already in Fantasy Grounds, everybody. It's not even, it started as an extension, but it's already pre-programmed in Core RPG. So you already have all of this available to you in Fantasy Grounds. What you don't have is you just don't have the tables. So you got to make those yourself.
Correct. But it won't mess up any of the tables that you have in the past. So
no.
Completely backwards compatible.
All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start a timer here in just a second, everybody. And we'll give away a DM's Guild item that has my name on it to any winner. And let's make the keyword to get in the drawing Jim Socks. So exclamation point Jim Socks, everybody. Type it in the channel. And
not the smelly ones.
No, I like that Scream name because I say it like it's a name, Jim Socks, like a guy whose first name is Jim, last name is Socks. But I get the play on words like, oh, my smelly Jim Socks. I get it. I like it.
Yeah.
And that's not his real name, everybody. Of course, that's his screen name. His real name is Gern Blanston. No, that's for Steve Martin fans. Okay, everybody. As soon as it counts down, I will pick a name. Meanwhile, Jim Socks, any final words you would like to impart on our viewing audience, either now or on YouTube later?
Yeah, it's get in there, and you've got some access now to some abilities that I only could dream of when I first started messing around with Fantasy Grounds, and now they're just at your fingertips. So if you love storytelling, get in there, take a look at the wiki, take a look at the YouTube videos, and start tinkering with it, and see what you can do, see what falls apart, what works, what doesn't work, and build something great, and then share it. Get it out there and show people what this can do, because it's right now it's just within the confines of my brain and what I'm creating. But as soon as everybody starts to get the keys to this and learn how to turn it open, I can't wait to see what kind of wide open, amazing shit that people are going to create with this.
That's going to be great. I love it. All right, the winner is John ECC. You know what to do. You send me a message in Discord, John, and I will get you your prize. Don't forget to include your email and what you want off the DM's Guild. And this was a longer show, but I loved every minute of it. I think, and I think this is going to get a lot of YouTube love when people start learning about this. So good. Any last questions from you, Drake?
No, believe it or not, I am totally not involved in story writing and Fantasy Grounds at all, and I'm inspired now.
Yeah, this makes you want to do it, doesn't it?
Yeah. Give me the stuff.
Give me the stuff.
I'm gonna check it out.
All right, cool. Well, thanks, Jim, for coming to the show, and thanks everybody for watching. Next week we will be walking through Von Richten's whatever the hell that is that comes out Tuesday. We'll go through that and probably give a copy of that away. So don't miss that, everybody. And until we do that, oh my God, I almost messed up. I got to get my thing right. Okay, there we go. Now I can end the show. Good gaming, everyone.